The Jeep Cherokee is a compact SUV that was developed and produced by the Jeep division of American Motors, and continued to be built and marketed by Chrysler after 1987. It shared the name of the original full-size SJ model, but without a traditional body-on-frame chassis. With a novel lightweight unibody design, it set the stage for the modern sport utility vehicle. The XJ's innovative appearance and sales popularity spawned several imitators, most importantly the Ford Explorer, as other automakers began to notice that this model began replacing regular cars. It was built in Toledo, Ohio, in Beijing, China, in Ferreyra, Argentina, and in Valencia, Venezuela. The XJ provided the mechanical basis for the MJ-series Jeep Comanche pickup truck. The XJ Jeep has been described as one of the 20 greatest cars of all time for its design, and possibly the best SUV shape of all time. It is the paradigmatic model to which other designers have since aspired. Due to its toughness and reliability, the XJ was also selected in 2011 as one of 10 cars that refused to die by Kiplinger. Background: designs of the compact-size XJ Cherokee date back to 1978 when a team of American Motors and Renault engineers drew several sketches. Clay models were based on the then-current full-size SJ Cherokee. Early sketches of the XJ Cherokee had a European influence, and most of the styling cues were done by AMC engineers under the direction of Richard A. Teague, Vice President of Design. Noticing that General Motors was developing a new two-door S10-based Blazer, AMC decided to develop an entirely new four-door model in addition to a two-door version. American Motors Vice President of Engineering, Roy Lunn, designed what is known as the Quadra-Link suspension that limited rollovers. Renault's Ferreyra Section Y cast iron developed the drivetrain using a much smaller engine than normally found in 4WD vehicles and reduced the weight of the new model. It is described as the first small crossover SUV in the US, with plenty of the Jeep toughness built in. Although the XJ models were just introduced, AMC quickly began development of its successor. To compete against its much larger rivals, the smallest U.S. automaker created a business process that is now known as product lifecycle management to speed up its product development process. By 1985, development and engineering was based on computer-aided design software systems, while new systems stored all drawings and documents in a central database. The pioneering PLM was so effective that after Chrysler purchased AMC in 1987, it expanded the system throughout its own enterprise. The compact Jeep was selected by Robert Cumberford of Automobile magazine as a masterpiece design and a paradigmatic model that was copied by other automakers. It became a perfect blend of sport and utility in a four-wheel drive vehicle. British TV presenter and motoring expert Quentin Wilson described the XJ Jeep as a real 4x4 icon, and one of the few truly great cars, which, despite being left behind by newer models, still offer fresh and urgent possibilities. Cars which become more relevant the older they get. 1984 Euro 1996. The XJ Cherokee introduced for the 1984 model year was the first Jeep with a ladder-boxed chassis integrated into a single monocoque unit rather than the traditional separate body-on-frame construction. The design was rigid and sturdy, yet wonderfully lightweight. The uniframe permitted outstanding performance even with AMC's new 2.5-litre/150 cubic inch four-cylinder engine. Both two- and four-door versions of the XJ Cherokee were offered throughout its lifetime, each having exactly the same track and wheelbase measurements. Two-door models, however, received longer doors and front seats that could fold forward to assist in rear passenger entry and exit. This was in addition to extended-length rear windows that did not open, although an optional rear vent window was available on some models. A variation on the Cherokee from 1984 to 1990 was the Jeep Wagoneer. These were unrelated to the similarly named full-sized Grand Wagoneer models that had carried the Wagoneer name before this point. The compact XJ Wagoneer was available in two trim levels, the Wagoneer, and the Wagoneer Limited. Both Wagoneers were distinguished from the Cherokee models in 1984 and 1985 by a slightly different grille and a smaller Jeep emblem offset to the driver's side. Starting in 1986, they changed to two vertically stacked low and high beam headlights with front turn signals moved behind the grille. The Wagoneer Limited came with vinyl wood trim on the sides and leather seats embossed with Limited. This version was the first to be sold in Europe. It was launched in 1992 in some markets, 1993 for the United Kingdom. Early versions had the 4.0 AL inline six-cylinder engine only. The 2.5 AL engine did not arrive in Europe until 1995. The XJ firewall was notched to accommodate the longer 4.0 AL engine. In mid-1985, a two-wheel drive version of the Cherokee was added to the lineup. This marked the first time any Jeep product was offered with two-wheel drive since 1967, and was done in the hopes of attracting a few more buyers who did not need four-wheel drive. When the XJ Cherokee-based Comanche truck was introduced, it was also available in two- and four-wheel drive. The new two-wheel drive models shared the front suspension with four-wheel drive models. Jeep simply used a single axle tube from hub to hub with no differential between, resulting in an inexpensive front suspension. For 1996, partially to comply with new US OBDII exhaust and evaporative emissions regulations, the engine management system was upgraded to Chrysler's then new JTE PCM. This added the side benefits of improving reliability and easing diagnostics. American Motors' compact XJ Cherokee was to be replaced by a new and larger model known as the ZJ that was under development by AMC. However, the smaller model's continuing popularity caused Chrysler executives to rethink this decision, and while the ZJ models were introduced in 1993, the XJ models were retained until 2001. The Jeep XJ has remained a popular choice by off-roading enthusiasts due to its potent off-roading capability in stock form. Its popularity has resulted in strong ongoing aftermarket support in the form of a wide variety of products. Fleet markets. In the early to mid-1990s, the Jeep Cherokee started becoming popular for government and police use. The Cherokee AHB police package was introduced during the 1992 model year. In response, for 1996, Jeep released a special version of the XJ Cherokee SE for police and fleet use. It featured no interior rear door handles and a revised 190 horsepower high-output version of the 4.0L PowerTech inline six-cylinder engine. The new HO engine replaced the older 177 horsepower version of the 4.0L engine in all installations. The Cherokee was also made in right-hand drive format initially for the United States Postal Service. The side effect of this was it allowed Jeep in later years to enter right-hand drive markets. The Cherokee went on sale in both the United Kingdom and Ireland in 1993. It was also sold in Japan, and due to that country's strict Shaken laws, many used Japanese market Cherokees have found their way back to the United States for use by rural mail carriers. Engines. 1997 Euro 2001. After 13 years of production, 1997 saw the Cherokee receive updated exterior and interior styling. Both the 2- and 4-door bodies remained in production, receiving a steel liftgate, restyled taillights, additional plastic molding along the doors, as well as a new front header panel that featured more aerodynamic styling. The spare tire was moved from a rear exterior bumper mount to an interior location due to decontenting the rear bumper. A new, unique spare tire carrier was invented by Peter Gruich while working for Jeep special programs that utilized the trailer hitch bar and a unique pivot bracket, and although it was the only external spare tire carrier to pass the full Jeep durability test, it was not offered for sale. The interior was similarly updated with an all-new design and instrument panel featuring the first blow-molded symmetrical instrument panel retainer structure. This instrument panel featured a unique cluster airbag bracket invented by Peter Gruich that allowed the interchange of the two components in order for the vehicle to be sold in the right-hand and left-hand drive markets with both driver and passenger airbags. A stiffer unibody frame brought improvements to noise, vibration, and harshness measurements. Also contributing to NVH improvements were new door seals that reduced wind noise at higher speeds. In the middle of the 1999 model year, vehicles with the 4.0L engine received a revised intake manifold. This was done to help counteract smaller exhaust porting on the latest casting of cylinder heads, which was done to meet more stringent emissions control laws. Both the 4- and 6-cylinder engines were offered through the 2000 model year, though only the straight 6 was available in 2001. For the 2000 and 2001 model years, all 6-cylinder XJs received a distributorless ignition system using coil-on-plug ignition, replacing the traditional system previously used. Coupled with better exhaust porting and the newer intake manifolds, this gave a minor increase in power over the previous models. Transmission, axle, and transfer case choices were carried over from the previous models. However, major changes were underway with a new executive, Wolfgang Bernhard, who was known as a cost-slasher and nicknamed Whirlwind, who came from Mercedes-Benz to turn around Chrysler. One of the first moves Bernhard made when he came to Chrysler in 2000 was to help kill the Jeep Cherokee, an aging, somewhat bland SUV. Thus, the Cherokee line was replaced in 2002 by the Jeep Liberty, although it has retained the Cherokee nameplate in most foreign markets. The Cherokee remains a popular vehicle among off-roading enthusiasts. When Cherokee production ended in mid-2001, the portion of the Toledo South assembly plant devoted to its production was torn down. Fleet markets. By 1997, the XJ Cherokee was still popular in police and government fleets. As expected, production of the Cherokee Special Service Package continued for the 1997 model year into the 2001 model year. It still had the same features as the 1996 Cherokee Special Service Package, but the engine now produced 195 HP. In 2001, when the XJ Cherokee ceased production and was replaced by the Jeep Liberty, the Cherokee Special Service Package was discontinued. The Jeep Liberty never featured a special service package, however, police and government agencies still used the Liberty in their fleets, and continue to this day. Engines, trim levels. Base, 1984 Euro 1992/SE, 1993-2001 included, vinyl or cloth upholstery, full-faced steel wheels, and AM radio with 2 speakers. Wagoneer, 1984 Euro 1990 included, rib cloth upholstery with leather trim, forks maplewood interior accents with wood laminate exterior decals, alloy wheels, AM radio with cassette player and 4 speakers, infrared remote keyless entry for 1990 model year, overhead console for 1990 model year, dual power seats, and an air conditioner. Briarwood, 1991 Euro 1992 included, leather and vinyl upholstery, forks maplewood interior accents with wood laminate exterior decals, lay spoke wheels, AM radio with cassette player and 6 Jensen ACCU sound speakers, infrared remote keyless entry, overhead console, dual power seats, and an air conditioner. Pioneer, 1984 Euro 1990 included, cloth-plaid pattern upholstery, steel wheels and AM radio with 2 speakers. Pioneer Olympic Edition, 1988 included, cloth upholstery, AM radio with 2 speakers, and an air conditioner. Chief, 1984 Euro 1990 included, cloth-plaid pattern upholstery, and AM radio with 2 speakers. Sport, 1988 Euro 2001 included, cloth and vinyl upholstery, AM radio with 4 speakers, full-faced steel or optional alloy wheels, optional infrared or radio frequency keyless entry, and an air conditioner. Country, 1993 Euro 1997 included, two-tone paint similar to Laredo with upgraded color-keyed pinstripe and the option for champagne gold along with silver as accent options, the replacement of several interior, formerly chrome accents with flat black, cloth and vinyl upholstery with the option for leather, forks mahogany wood interior accents, lay spoke wheels, AM radio with cassette player and 4 speakers with the option for 6 Jensen ACCU sound speakers, optional overhead console, infrared or radio frequency remote keyless entry, optional dual power seats, and an air conditioner. Classic, 1996, 1998 to Euro 2001 included, monotone paint color, cloth upholstery, alloy wheels, AM radio with cassette player with 4 speakers, infrared remote keyless entry, overhead console, and an air conditioner. Limited, 1987-1992, 1998 to Euro 2001 included, monotone paint, leather and vinyl upholstery, color-keyed lace-spoke wheels, AM radio with cassette player and 6 Jensen ACCU sound speakers, infrared remote keyless entry, overhead console, dual power seats, and an air conditioner. Laredo, 1985 to Euro 1992 included, chrome accenting, cloth-plaid pattern or luggage fabric upholstery with the option of Briarwood-style leather and vinyl seats for the 1992 model year only, 5-spoke alloy wheels, AM radio with 4 speakers and the option for 6 Jensen ACCU sound speakers, infrared remote keyless entry optional overhead console, optional dual power seats, and an air conditioner. 60th anniversary, 2001 included, special badges, monotone paint color, cloth upholstery, chrome-clad wheels, AM radio with cassette and CD players and 6 Infinity Gold speakers, radio frequency remote keyless entry and an air conditioner. Available driveline components, manual transmissions, 1984, Borg-Warner T4 4-speed manual, used with 2.5 Li4 only, 21 spline output. 1984 Euro 1987, Warner AX4 4-speed manual, used with 2.5 Li4 only, 21 spline output. 1984, Borg-Warner T5 5-speed manual, used with 2.5 Li4 and 2.8 LV6, 21 spline output. 1984 Euro 2000, Warner AX5 5-speed manual, used with 2.5 Li4, 2.1 Li4 diesel, and 2.8 LV6, 21 spline output. 1987 Euro mid-1989, Peugeot BA10 5th 5-speed manual used with 4.0 Li6, 21 spline output. Late 1989 Euro 1999, Warner AX15 5-speed manual, used with 2.5 Li4 diesel, 4.0 Li6, 23 spline output. 2000 Euro 2001, New Venture Gear Nevada, 3555 speed manual, used with 2.5 Li4 diesel, 4.0 Li6, 23 spline output. Automatic transmissions, 1984 Euro 1986, Chrysler A904 3-speed automatic, used with 2.5 Li4 and 2.8 LV6. 1987 Euro 2001, Warner AW4 4-speed automatic, used with 4.0 Li6. 1994 Euro 2000, Chrysler 30RH 3-speed automatic, used with 2.5 Li4. Transfer cases, all the transfer cases used on the Cherokee were chain-driven with aluminium housings. Command track was standard on XJ models built with 4WD. 1984 Euro 1987, new process NP207 command track, part-time only, 2.611 ratio with low range. 1984 Euro 1986, new process NP228/229 select track, full-time part-time, 2.611 ratio with low range. NP228/229 has a vacuum switch for 2WD/4WD selection on the fly and a separate manual lever for low range. 1987 Euro 2001, new process. NP231 command track, part-time only, 2.721 ratio with low range. NP231 has the following settings: 2HI, 4HI, N, 4LO. 1987 Euro 2001, new process NP242 select track, full-time part-time, 2.721 ratio with low range. NP242 has the following settings: 2HI, 4 full-time, 4 part-time, N, 4LO, axles. The Jeep XJ utilizes front and rear solid axles as opposed to independent front and or rear axles. This configuration allows the XJ to have superior off-road capability and performance at the expense of some on-road comfort and drivability. Mid-1985 and later two-wheel drive models used the same basic suspension with a single tube connecting axle ends with no differential. Front axle, 1984 Euro 1996, Dana 30, high pinion, reverse cut, 27 spline axle shafts, 1996 Euro 1999, Dana 30, high pinion, reverse cut, 297x/760 universal joint, 27 spline axle shafts. 2000 Euro 2001, Dana 30, low pinion, standard cut, 297x/760 universal joint, 27 spline axle shafts. 1985 Euro 2001, straight non-driven front axle for two-wheel drive only. Rear axle, 1984 Euro 1989, Dana 35, non-C-clip, with anti-lock braking system or non-ABS. 1987 Euro 1991, Dana 44, models with tow package only, 30 spline axle shafts, non-ABS. 1990 Euro 1996, Dana 35, C-clip, ABS or non-ABS. 1997 Euro 2001, Dana 35, C-clip, ABS. 1991 Euro 1996, Chrysler 8.25 inches, C-clip, non-ABS, 27 spline axle shafts. Late 1996 Euro 2001, Chrysler 8.25 inches, C-clip, non-ABS, 29 spline axle shafts. Axle gear ratios, Jeep XJs came in several standard gearing ratios, 3.071, manual transmission, I6 engine, 3.541, automatic transmission, I6 engine with Dana 44 rear differential, 3.541, manual transmission, I4 engine with Dana 35 rear differential, 3.551, automatic transmission, I6, V6 engines. Manual transmission, I4 engine, 3.731, automatic transmission, I6, tow package, upcountry package, 2.5 VM diesel manual, 4.101, 2.5 Li4 engine, 4.561, automatic transmission, I4, off-road or tow package. Suspension. The Jeep XJ utilizes a coil spring front suspension with a leaf spring rear suspension. Front suspension. The Quadra-Link front suspension design locates the axle with four leading control arms to control longitudinal movement and rotation about the lateral axis, two above the axle and two below it. A panned rod, also referred to as a track bar, is used to locate the axle laterally. Two coil springs are seated on top of the axle housing as well as two gas-charged shock absorbers. The suspension used on vehicles with the optional upcountry package provided 1 inch of lift over the standard suspension. A sway bar is utilized to reduce body roll in turns. Rear suspension. The XJ uses a leaf spring rear suspension. Each leaf pack contains 4 leaf springs with a fixed eye at the front of the spring and a compression-style shackle at the rear of the spring. 2 gas-charged shock absorbers are also used, along with a mild anti-sway anti-roll bar. The suspension used on vehicles with the optional upcountry package did not employ the rear anti-sway anti-roll bar and provided 1 inch of lift over the standard suspension. XJ in Europe. The XJ was introduced to left-hand drive European markets in 1985, 1 year after its American debut. However, right-hand drive European markets only began to officially receive them in 1993. Models were offered in both markets until the XJ's discontinuation in 2001, at which point it was replaced by the Jeep Cherokee, which retained the Cherokee name for sale in Europe despite sharing little mechanical heritage with its predecessor. A van version of the XJ was offered in addition to the standard passenger vehicles in some European markets. Available in both right and left-hand drive models, they were designed to comply with relaxed motor tax regulations in some EU member states governing vehicles intended for primarily commercial use. Both 2- and 4-door versions are known to have been sold, with the main differences from the standard models being metal panels in place of the rear side windows, no rear seats, and a completely flat cargo area. 2- and 4-wheel drive variants were available, powered by the VM motor, a 2.5L diesel engine mated to the Aizenax 15 manual transmission. Photographs of this model can be found here. XJ in China. American Motors established the first automobile manufacturing joint venture in the People's Republic of China to assemble the four-door Cherokee. Production continued after Chrysler's buyout of AMC. Chrysler executives were concerned over licit and illicit technology transfers when knockoffs of the Cherokee began appearing in the Chinese market. The Chinese market MJ-7250 and MJ-2021 had a raised roof in the rear, as they were often meant to be chauffeur-driven. Production under Mercedes-Benz continued in the partnership that was renamed Beijing-Benz Daimler Chrysler Automotive. The most recent model with an updated grille, headlights, and other upgrades was known as the Jeep 2500 and was produced until 2005. It is notable that AMC's original Cherokee design continued to be built and sold after being virtually unchanged for over 20 years. The design of the Chinese market Jeeps was similar to that of the US market Jeeps, with the exception of a new front grille and headlamps, as well as new tail lamps. The interior also got a new steering wheel and center console. The four-cylinder model was named the BJ2500, signifying Beijing Jeep with a 2.5 L AMC straight-four engine, while the six-cylinder model was named the BJ4000, signifying it had the 4.0 L AMC straight-six engine. Cherokee name revival in the U.S. See also Jeep Cherokee. On February 22, 2013, Chrysler released press photos of the new replacement for the Liberty, and also announced that the new model would bring back the Cherokee name. The new Cherokee is built on the compact US-wide platform, and features a 9-speed automatic, a choice of a 2.40L Tiger Shock i4 with Fiat's electro-hydraulic multi-air 2-variable valve timing and variable valve lift, or a 3.2L V6 based on the Pentastar 3.6L V6, and front and four-wheel drive. The Jeep Liberty is sold outside of North America as the Jeep Cherokee, allowing the new Cherokee to be easily marketed globally. Jeep also believes the Cherokee name will attract previous Jeep owners, because of the name's heritage. The new Cherokee is built in Toledo, Ohio. Footnotes. External links: Jeep Cherokee Book, Jeep Cherokee Service Bulletins and other downloadable files, Beijing Jeep, American Business in China, Booknotes interview with author Jim Mann, Cherokee Forum, Jeep Cherokee Discussion Forum, North American XJ Association, Jeep Cherokee Discussion Forum.